Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us for our webinar today as we talk about how storing and managing data on the cloud can provide significant value during the design process. My name is Shreya, and I'm the event coordinator at CAD Micro. Today, we are joined by my colleague John, our applications specialist, who will be taking us through all the data management features in xDesign. Before we begin, there are a couple of quick housekeeping items to mention. First, as usual, we'll save a few minutes at the end of today's session for a question and answer period. Feel free to type your questions into the GoToWebinar panel as they come up, and we'll do our best to get to them all at the end of today's webinar. The webinar will be recorded, and we'll be sending you the recording via email tomorrow. So if any questions do arise afterwards, you can respond to that email and we'll be in touch shortly. A quick review of our schedule today. I'll be going over a quick overview of CAD Micro. John will start with an overview of the 3D modeling capabilities of xDesign and then talk about several other scalable data management capabilities of the cloud-based design app. For those of us who aren't familiar with CAD Micro, we are a Canadian-owned and operated company that's been around for 40 years now. Our headquarters is in Toronto, but in the recent years, we've opened our offices across Canada in an effort to get closer and to better serve our customers. We have a team of talented professionals that has been consistently growing over the years. In this session, we are discussing the xDesign app that ties into the design software sector of our business. But as some of you may know, we support advanced technologies across 5 key areas. First off, being design software, which includes SolidWorks and all its associated partners, additive manufacturing, advanced simulation, 3D scanning or metrology, and VR/AR mixed reality. We pride ourselves on providing a wide range of advanced technologies for our clients to innovate and succeed. If you have any interest in these technologies, feel free to reach out and we'd be happy to take a deeper dive in each of these areas. Now, I'll hand things over to John to kick us off.
Thank you for the introduction there, Shreya. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by showing off some of the cloud-based design apps in 3D Experience. I'm going to start by sharing my screen over here. And you might be asking, why the 3D Experience platform? And the reason we have that is because we want to have our familiar SolidWorks interface, and we want to enable collaboration as well as connectivity with our colleagues. And we want to enable things such as revisioning, branching, locking, unlocking your files, uploading them to a cloud storage platform, and creating maturity lifecycle states to better keep track of our data. So you might be familiar with some of the applications in the 3D Experience platform. And I'm going to go over one of the apps that is particularly useful if you're designing on the go, that application being xDesign. And what xDesign essentially is a way to design on the go. So if we open up our 3D Experience platform, we're going to see that we have a bunch of apps. And I just want to talk a little bit about why these apps are useful for your day-to-day workflow. So some of you might be existing SolidWorks customers. You might be using CAD software apart from SolidWorks. And what xDesign and all these other CAD applications do is allow us to safely and securely store our data, collaborate and control visibility amongst all stakeholders, track the lifecycle through maturity states, keep a history of all your past design iterations, and search for your data on the platform website. So as you can see, we have a lot of collaboration capabilities within the platform that I'm going to briefly go over with you during our demo portion. And another thing that I should note is that xDesign is a fully integrated CAD solution that's available in your browser. So what you're going to see in a quick moment is that you can design models in xDesign and then export them to step files, pairs, solids, all your favorite formats, and then use them within your SolidWorks designs. So that being said, let's close this PowerPoint here and let's get to the good stuff. So I want to show you guys a little bit about what xDesign is. So as you can see, I have xDesign open in a window, and what you're gonna get when you're on the platform is an email with a link. You can access it through 3ds.com, log in with your 3D Experience ID. I have it bookmarked here for convenience sake, so let's just click into that and go into our 3D Experience platform. And this is all fully integrated within the website. As you can see, I have a lot of stuff going on here. You can customize all of these tiles to see all the data that you need. That comes with a lot of widgets and applications that you can use to organize your data and your tasks. You can see that it is a file storage system in a traditional sense, as well as a CAD aware sense. Like any other file storage system you might be familiar with, such as Google Drive, OneDrive, iCloud, you're able to store things such as MP4s, Microsoft Word documents, Excel files, and within the platform, you're able to access these documents and preview them as such, where you can then communicate with your colleagues all in one platform. So as you can see, I have a Word document here that I made a couple months ago, and I just keep it here on my 3D drive off to the side here. I have a couple SolidWorks parts as well that I can view and open right from this 3D Play widget. And what we have available on top of all these little widgets are the design apps that come with them. This is just a spur gear. I'm just going to let it load there in the background. And while that's loading, let's go into xDesign. So you have your little compass over here. While I'm taking a look at my little spur gear, let's say I want to go in here and design something new. So I can open my web-based xDesign app over here on the left. And you can see that it loads right in your browser. You don't need to download anything. You can download the files afterwards if you'd like. You can even import files from your computer into xDesign, and they support a multitude of different formats, such as your traditional SolidWorks format, CATIA, your IGES formats, and all those other neutral CAD formats like step files and parasolids. So now that we're in the xDesign interface, let's say that we want to actually design something. I'm just going to reopen that for a second there. And let's say we want to design something simple like a bracket. You'll notice that the bottom menu that you see there is very similar to what you would see in any other CAD program. You have features such as your sketch, your extrusion, your revolve, your surface design features, as well as basic simulation and viewport features. Now, let's say I just want to make like a sketch or something. Say I just want to import it. Say I just want to make a sketch in one of these planes over here. I can even just start a new design. I can close this and I can do a new component. I think it thinks that I'm trying to import a file, but we're going to create something from scratch for you guys. So in the 3D Experience platform, we have what are called physical products. And these physical products are all encompassing of your things such as your assemblies, your parts, your drawings. They all integrate into the 3D Experience format. So once this is created, we can start by doing a basic sketch. Now, you're not going to get the same performance that you would get in SolidWorks, but you are going to get a fully featured CAD solution from within your browser if you ever need to design on the go. You won't require any significant hardware to run the program. It's all done within your browser. Now, one other thing that I'm going to talk about once we get into xDesign here is the ability to use SolidWorks to access all your data management features. So while I wait for xDesign to load here, I just want to talk a little bit about these data management features. You'll see that you're able to do all the things that I mentioned before, where you're able to branch, you're able to create revisions, lock and unlock your files, bump it through its life cycle states, all from your SolidWorks window on the right here in the task pane. A similar feature is found here in xDesign, where we can go through its life cycle and change its maturity states, its revisions, lock and unlock. Let me just sketch a quick bracket for you guys over here. Say I just take my line tool that we all know and love, go up here, We're not going to worry too much about dimensions for now. Let's just make a quick little C channel over here. Don't mind the line there. Let's just make a quick little extrusion. Select that little profile there, make a solid profile. And there we have our basic bracket. Now let's say we want to save that into the platform. It's as simple as just locking the file so that nobody else can touch the file, and then saving it. So all of these features that you see here in xDesign translate into SolidWorks as well. So if you don't like the xDesign application, that's okay, because we can just do all of this from within SolidWorks. We're able to do all of these data management functions from within our traditional SolidWorks menu. So now, as you can see, we've locked the file. Nobody else can edit it from within our organization. So if anybody else were to go into our 3D Experience website platform and try to access this file, it would say that it's locked. And let me show you what I mean by that. Let's just open another window over here. Let's hop into our 3D Space app, which is where all of our CAD files are going to be stored. And as you'll see, if I open my collaborative space here, which is essentially a project space where all of my files are stored, you'll see that I've created this physical product, so-called title, where it is in the in-work state by John, which is me. So you can reserve all your files. You can revision your files. Let's say we're done working on this bracket, right? And we want to tell everyone in our organization that this part is done. You can just hit change maturity over here and then release it. So that tells everyone that this part is in the release state, and now nobody else can actually edit this part. In order to edit this part, they're going to have to do a new revision, and the 3D Experience platform will track all of these revisions accordingly so that we know who is editing what and what branches lead to where in our designs. Okay, so as you can see, we can track our revisions through a lettering scheme or whatever scheme you're more comfortable with, whether that be numeric, alphanumeric. I have revision A going into revision B. So let's say I want to make a change here from revision A to B. Let's say we want to increase the thickness. Hit revise there. And now we're working on another copy of this part that's being tracked in the 3D Experience platform. So we're opening physical product 1. And as you can see, we have 2 in our revision graph over here. We can go ahead and just edit the extrusion in our second revision. We can make it bigger, smaller, whatever we so choose. Say we want to make it 70 millimeters instead. Let that generate there. And now we have our 70 mil revision B. Increase the thickness. I go back to revision A, and you'll see this is the 35 mil revision. You have 2 revisions over here. So let's open that one. So as you can see, you can keep track of both products in your maturity graph over here. We can even branch off to create new ideas, and you can make a tree to visualize how your product has come to fruition. You can see 3D shape 1, physical product 1. Let's branch this off, and let's just make another product. As you can see in orange here, it creates this nice little tree for you to organize your revision schemes and make the necessary changes. You can go into this sketch and completely change the design concept if we so choose. Say we want to delete that top line over there and we want to replace it with an arc. Press OK there. Now we have a branch with a miscellaneous shape, and now we have another branch with our original bracket that is 70 mil thick. Now, these features are nice from a browser perspective, but let's take this into SolidWorks, which some of you may be more familiar with. So that was our xDesign portion to show off these maturity states, revisions, branches, lock and unlock features. I'm going to close this for a second. We're done working with this part, and we're just going to open SolidWorks. Now, you'll notice that I had another little window here containing a list of components. Now, in the 3D Experience platform, it's not like your traditional Windows File Explorer. You can use what are called bookmarks to quickly and efficiently organize your data and have a folder structure that you feel most comfortable with. So you don't have to store all your files within the traditional Windows file structure sense. You can create bookmarks containing relations to parts such as assemblies in one bookmark. You can have drawings in another bookmark. You can organize it like you would in Windows as well. You can also import your folder structures as you would from your File Explorer. But you can make your bookmarks a customized version of your data organization structure. And as you can see, all the necessary data is listed here with my SolidWorks parts. Now, let's say I want to go into this part that I'm working on from my bookmark editor over here, the sorting arm. Let's say I want to go into this assembly. I can always just right-click it and open it within SolidWorks. And it should fire up within SolidWorks 2023. So I'll give that a moment there. And as you can see, it is all like your traditional SolidWorks interface. There are a couple of cues that are a bit different, such as the cloud connected symbol in your title over here, your 3D experience feature tree on the right, and your task pane, as well as your traditional SolidWorks feature tree on the left. Now, you'll notice that everything looks very familiar to your traditional SolidWorks interface. The only difference being you're going to be saving to the cloud over here on the right. And as you can see, all of the features that we saw in xDesign look exactly the same as they would in SolidWorks. So we can work within this assembly. Let's say I want to work on the sorting robot. I want to add some, I want to remove these end caps over here for this base. What I can do is I can lock this mount base. All I got to do is just right click it and hit lock. So now nobody else within my 3D Experience platform organization can edit the part. Now, I want to open this part, so I would just right click it and open it as normal. It's very intuitive. And as you can see, I can work on the part and it opens another 3D Experience feature tree on the right. Now, let's say I don't like these end caps. I'm just going to suppress them for now on the left on the feature tree. And you'll notice that 3D Experience now knows that the part that you're seeing here is different from the part that it sees in the platform. So we can always just match the two by right-clicking and then saving it. It's that simple to keep your data cloud connected. And then you get a bunch of other options here, such as the ability to create new revisions, change your states, and your collaborative spaces. So now this part has been updated. The status is synced with the 3D Experience server. Its maturity state is still in work. Let's say now that we've removed the end caps from this mounting base, I want to now make this finalized. I can always just right click again, bump the maturity state. And this graph that you see here is customizable as well. Don't think that you have to name your states private, in work, frozen, released. You can make this whatever you'd like. You can make this more complex if you'd like. You can add more recursion loops, or you can add more states and transitions. Let's say we click release over here to release this mounting base. And now this has been finalized. So now if I want to make a new change to this design, I'm going to make a new revision, call that A3. The last one I was working on is A2. Let's call this B1 actually. And let's say we want this revision to have an increased plate thickness. You can see you can keep track of all the comments in the 3D Experience platform of all the revisions. And now on this B1 revision, you can make your change. So let's say I make my boss extrude here a little bit bigger. Right? As simple as that. And then we can hit save. So we have a bunch of different versions floating around. This is where the traditional file organization structure in Windows is going to start to fall apart. You're going to have many different copies of the same file. Whereas here, it's just one file copied over, but managed through the platform. And all the revision tracking and comments are done for you and set by you. So we can always go here. We can always replace by revision and keep track of every single change that we've made in our design. As you can see, we have one where it's released without the caps, one with the caps, and one with a thicker base. Now, let's say I'm done working on this base. I can always just right-click it, hit unlock, and there we go. So now it's as simple as going back to the assembly in question. I can close this. And now we're back to our sorting arm. So now the sorting arm isn't in sync because we made a change to one of the subsequent components. The 3D Experience platform knows that one of these files has been changed, so we can always just right-click, save. Now, with these revisions, you can see that you're able to hot swap between them from your assembly over here. So we can always right-click the mounting base. We can replace by revision, and then we can always add the latest revision into our assembly over here. So let's say we want to add the thicker plates, or we want to add the one with the caps. We can add this one and press OK. So I added the one with the thicker base over here. And you can always replace it with any other version in your platform. Hot swap just like that. Okay, so those are some of the data management features that we have available with the 3D Experience platform. As you can see, they make everything very seamless. Saving to the platform is very efficient. And what we're able to do is manage our data while keeping in touch with all the collaboration needs of our organization. Okay, so now I'm done with this. I'm just going to unlock everything. And now let's see the changes on the website. So one of the ways you can access your files is by opening them through the 3D Experience website. Let's go back in here. Let's go into our 3D Space application. You can even use the powerful search tool to search for your part. Let's say I search for the sorting arm. And it'll know to find all of the components that are relevant to our search term. And you can also characterize each file based on who made it, when it was made, where it was made, and what it contains. So things like custom properties or attributes. All those kind of properties are able to be filtered in your search bar up here. So as you can see, my sorting arm is up here. And I can view this from within the 3D Experience website without actually needing to open SolidWorks. Okay. And one more thing I'll note for this webinar is when you're using the platform, you're not limited to just the website or just SolidWorks. You're going to be using a combination of both. So if you have the file open in SolidWorks, you can save it and view it here. You can open it here and then make a change, add a markup, and then open it again in SolidWorks. Okay, so as you can see, those are some of the data management features we have available in the 3D Experience platform. So I guess as a final note, how do we get files onto the platform? Let's say we open a new file. So we go in here, take any one of these files that I have on my computer, and I want to upload it to the platform. Let's say this washer and cylinder. I can add a file just by right-clicking it and saving it with options. This file hasn't been uploaded to the platform. File has not been saved into 3D Experience. I can always just right-click it, save with options. And remember those bookmarks I was talking about to organize your data? Instead of putting it into the 3D space, we have the ability to organize the file structure how we want to when we save it into the platform. So if I save it with options, I can choose to add it to a bookmark, and I can create my own structure. So by selecting a bookmark, I can say, let's add this washer and cylinder that I'm going to use in my sorting arm later. Let's add this into our sorting arm file folder structure bookmark. So I can add it in here. And let's say I want a bookmark within a bookmark, I can just add that in there and name it washer and cylinder. Press OK. So now we have a bookmark called washer and cylinder where we can apply to all. And now all these parts are going to be saved into that bookmark. I guess it just doesn't like me today, but I'll just save one of the components. And I think we should be good to go. We'll just save it regularly. Maybe it just didn't like that bookmark name. I don't know. So that being said, I'd like to open up the floor for any questions that you guys might have about the data management features in xDesign and SolidWorks for the 3D Experience platform. And perhaps we can talk a little bit about some of the external features that you might not think are available. So does anybody have any questions over here that we can answer for the 3D Experience platform there?
Thank you, John. That was a great presentation. So we do have a few minutes left for questions, so keep them coming. We've got a couple in the queue already, so let's go ahead and get started. The first one we have here is there a temporary location on my computer where my CAD files are stored while I'm working on them?
Yep, so to answer that question, that's a good question. They are available in SolidWorks. So all you have to do is look over here just above the 3D Experience tab. You can see that there's a local cache where all of the files that you've been working on from the 3D Experience platform are stored. So this is going to be consistently synced with the 3D Experience platform online over here. And this is a folder that's found on your computer and you can access to quickly, without having to download the file each and every time. You can have these files local on your computer until you're done with them, and then you can lock them and then send them back to the cloud.
Perfect. Thanks, John. The next one we have is, does the 3D Experience platform support non-CAD files like Microsoft Office documents?
Yep, so to answer that question, we do support non-SolidWorks files. One of the ways was mentioned earlier in the presentation here in the 3D drive. So your traditional Google Drive style storage. So as you can see, I had a bunch of Excel files, Word files, PowerPoint stored in this folder. Now, if you were to store them in the 3D space, you're still able to do that. There's even a collaboration app for the 3D Experience platform as an add-in in Microsoft Office. So let's say if I open PowerPoint over here, even just take the PowerPoint that I'm using to present this, the 3D Experience platform can save this PowerPoint to your 3D space with revision data, versioning, attributes like your custom properties like you would in SolidWorks. All of that's available in the PowerPoint application itself. So as you can see, I have this saved on the platform, and we can have our revision data and attribute data collected here. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, John. The next one we have is, can we prevent certain people from moving a file through its maturity states and life cycle?
Now that's a really good question because our maturity states, we might not want all the stakeholders in our organization to have access to the life cycle states. Maybe we don't want our shop floor releasing drawings before they're complete, or maybe we don't want our design team to automatically release designs until management has approved of them. So those features are available in the 3D Experience platform, and they can be controlled from the collaborative lifecycle settings. So you have a bunch of applications available here in the 3D Experience platform. One of them being the collaborative lifecycle. So if I open this, since I'm the admin, I can control how some of these states behave, and I can control how some of these states allow people to bump the transitions and bump the life cycle states. So give me one moment here while I find the app. Let's just open up the collaborative change center here. Now, these are features that are available as the admin. I'm gonna quickly show you over here from my 3D space. You'll notice that this collaborative space has different permissions, and I can edit the properties within here. So for example, I can, add members as contributors, authors, or leaders. And within the lifecycle states, you can choose whether contributors can bump the state, whether authors can bump the state, or whether leaders can bump the state. So you can create these categories to control who can bump a file through its revision states. One last thing, I'm just going to try to open this here while I got you guys on the line here. Let's say we open a file. Take any file. We can choose which transitions are available for that file. So let's say if I go into my downloads, all the loads over here, copy that in there. So I can even view them from the 3D space as well. Let's say I open this. Now, you'll notice that if I were to double click this physical product, you'll see here that you can preview it, or you can choose which people have the permissions to have full control over editability over here. So there are many different ways to view editability in the 3D Experience platform and to change it. One of them being collaborative lifecycle, the other one being the 3D space permissions, author, contributor, and leader, as well as different ways such as platform permissions that we can go over in more detail if you have any further questions on. So that being said, I think that should answer the question. There are ways to control your lifecycle states if you don't want certain groups to not have access to them. Okay.
All right, that's about all we have time for today. If any questions do arise after we finish here, please do not hesitate to reach out to your account manager or reply to the webinar email and we'll be in touch. Once again, thank you so much, John, for a great presentation, and thank you all for joining us here this afternoon. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you.